Well, it says here, on the 8th of February this year, Her Majesty the Queen became the first British monarch to celebrate a platinum jubilee, making 70 years of service to the people of the United Kingdom, the realms and the Commonwealth. Okay, that's what it says here. And there's been stuff going on all the time. I'm trying to scroll this forward. But at the beginning of June, a culmination thing is going on. And there'll be a trooping of the colour on Thursday the 2nd, a special extended one. And they're going to be lighting beacons across the country. That was the traditional way of raising the alarm. And as a matter of fact, a friend of mine lives under the shadow of a hill called Stoodley Pike, which is sometimes in Yorkshire and sometimes in Lancashire. It depends on maps and history, but it's a very high promontory. So during the Napoleonic War, they built a tower on it, and that way they could put a fire in there and you'd see it for miles. So the next beacons would be lit in response to that. I think there was some fuss about it. Somebody lit a fire accidentally and suddenly everyone thought that Napoleon was invading. Okay, and then on Friday the 3rd of June, there'll be a service of Thanksgiving at St Paul's Cathedral. On Saturday, of course, there'll be the Derby at Epsom Downs. I've been to Epsom Downs, very nice. And then on Sunday, a lot of streets are going to have street parties, and there's going to be a competition for the longest one. So it all looks like quite a lot of fun, and there's a special extended bank holiday weekend, as if we haven't had enough holidays recently. So I was just listening to a trigonometry episode, and there was a woman being interviewed there called Kerry Smith. Apparently she was something into social justice at one point, but she saw the light, and she referred to her what would have been colleagues, as joy eaters. The people who can't stand seeing other people having fun. So when all those flags in Regent Street went out on social media, immediately there were people on social media saying it reminded them of the Nazi flags that were all over the streets in Germany in the 1930s. I mean, yeah, there are people in uniform as well. Wow, definitely Nazi, isn't it? Let's see. So this is in the Evening Standard. And people feel constrained to answer these ridiculousnesses. I mean, nobody's hooting with laughter. They're always approaching these accusations with deadly seriousness. And here we have, filling the centre of London with flags is not fascism. Of course it isn't fascism. I mean, just in honour of the Queen, nobody seems to be going round, policemen don't seem to be going round beating up Jews and gypsies in the streets, do they? They get beaten up by other types of people. Okay, if you walk down Regent Street right now, it says here, you will see it laced with strings of Union flags as part of the Jubilee celebrations. Some will feel a twang of national pride, and some, it seems, will be reminded of fascism. That's because some can think of nothing else but fascism. They see fascism, white supremacy, racism in absolutely everything they look at. I really would hate to be inside their heads. What they see through their eyes is nothing but grim and nasty. What a life. I mean, I'm supposed to feel sorry for somebody like that, but I'm afraid I can't. I think they deserve it. A row broke out online yesterday after people made comparisons between the picture of Regent Street and Nazi Germany. One man really kicked off the debate by suggesting Regent Street should look like that all of the time. Well, actually, no. Actually, I think it is our great good fortune that we have a royal family. Now, I know they can be a bit of a pain sometimes and they can be a bit embarrassing sometimes, but it's different saluting a person who embodies your state than saluting a flag. I really feel sorry for countries that have only flags. Because you see, there's a problem with a flag. Like when Germany, bringing Germany into it, when Germany invaded a country and took it over, or this is what, let's say, Putin wanted to invade Ukraine and take it over. What he would have done was replaced Zelensky with some puppet and everybody would still be saluting the Ukrainian flag. There's very little change in the outward appearance of the republic. Whereas when you get rid of a monarch, it's a lot more obvious that something's wrong. That's the way I feel about it anyway. This somewhat dramatic interpretation of what is effectively very large bunting is a prime example of what George Orwell called negative nationalism, which can be just as emotionally intense as its opposite. As someone who hasn't waved one, who's this? Dorlan Linsky. Okay. As someone who hasn't waved one since the 1981 royal wedding, I was 7, and this is Mr. or Mrs. I don't know, Dorlan, I've never come across that name before. Anyway, that's Linsky talking, not me. I am lukewarm on the subject of the flag. Flagnostic, if you like. Oh, well put, sir, madam. And I find the neurosis about it in sectors of the left bafflingly overheated. Regent Street was also decked with flags for the 2002 and 2012 Jubilee, and that wasn't read as a sinister symptom of incipient fascism. Ah, yes, but that's when people were sane. They've gone insane now. The left has gone so far to the left. Any sign of national joy or patriotism, and it's it sets off all sorts of alarm bells inside their confused, exploding little heads. God, I'd hate to be in their heads. Must be an awful world inside there. It wasn't read as incipient fascism, nor was the massed flag waving at France's Bastille Day. Ah, yeah, but, foreigners, they're allowed to wave flags. It's just the British who aren't. Oh, and Americans, of course. The left don't like Americans waving flags as well. But when the French do it, or the Italians, or even the Nigerians, that's just a sign of a cohesive society, isn't it? Nor Denmark's recent Golden Jubilee. Good for you, Denmark. Given the government's current thirst for culture wars, the display might reasonably strike some as crass or alienating, but Nazis, really? Nazism is a chronically overused reference point. Why is this not? Oh, here we go. Because it's the one historical period that everybody studies at school. But what we learn, no, it's not that. It's the one historical period that the left has latched onto as a symptom of everything that's wrong with the West, despite the fact that Nazism was actually socialism. National socialism, the clue is in the name. There must be a better way to critique this government's record on immigration, human rights and the rule of law than invoking the most appalling regime of modern times. Hyperbolic comparisons trivialise its crimes and disrespect its victims. Okay. So he's talking about the iconography surrounding the Nazi flag. Oh, this will not scroll up. Okay. The Union flag, like any long-lived national emblem, has a multiplicity of meanings. In 1945 alone, it signified liberation in Europe and colonial oppression in many other parts of the world. It is what we make it. As a matter of fact, there was a Nigerian writer who... he was a Nigerian nationalist. He wanted the British out. But after they were out, he complained bitterly about the fact that the Nigerian government was total pants, and that when the British were in control, the government ran smoothly and well. And now it's just disintegrated into corrupt chaos. And I've had family members who've gone to Nigeria for various reasons, and they tell me of roads that just sort of finish halfway through, nobody carried on the rest, something happened, and widespread corruption and all the rest of it. Well, I'm sure it's a very interesting place as well, Nigeria. I'm just saying that this Nigerian nationalist did feel that the British colonials were at least administering his country properly. Now let's see. Well, that's it. So it seems very unwise to acknowledge its immense symbolic power, that's the flag, in the same breath as ceding it wholesale to the nationalist right. It belongs to every citizen and can be imbued with other values. Don't give it away. Yeah, and the left are very annoyed about any sort of patriotism, any sort of joy in our country, anything but, beating your breast and complaining that we're not doing things right. I was thinking of the idea of a birthday party, not just the Jubilee. Let's just bring it down to a personal birthday party. Let's say it was my birthday and I got a cake and some candles, quite a lot of them, and some party decorations or whatever. And then when I was about to eat the cake, somebody said, "Oh, but remember, Demi, you dented your car bumper 6 months ago when you were trying to park behind a tree, didn't you? And that must have cost you a lot of money." And then somebody else says, "Yeah, and remember when you were going forward in a queue and you happened to shove this person out the way without noticing? That wasn't very nice, was it? Oh, and remember that rainy day when you fell over and you bruised your knee?" That is what it is like when we're talking about a national celebration and then saying, "Yes, but this and that and the other," these awful things that happened in the past. It's exactly like that. And you get people like that. And unfortunately, the left has become that sort of person. I say let them fly as many flags as they want. How many times do we decorate our streets up anyway? Now, if every time we went to Regent Street, there were these flags there and we were forced to salute them, I'd think there was something wrong. But no. Anyway, yeah, Queen's Platinum Jubilee, God bless her. And it's going to be fun. We're going to have lots of excuses for having a party, and for those of us who still love this country, a chance to express it. And I'm perfectly happy about that. All right, well, that's my, those flagophobes, well, they could just do something physically impossible of a sexual nature. All right, well, I'm Granny Opterix. I am to be found on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. If you want to know whenever I've uploaded a video, subscribe to Twitter, Gab or Parler, because I always let you know on one of those platforms when I have put a new video up. That's because I've learnt not to trust YouTube. And yeah, I think that's about it. Maybe I can find some patriotic music to play out with at the end of this video. And yeah, keep waving the flag, folks.